attack finally made me serious. Qin Shaojun, watching from the side, held his breath. This kid has probably already reached the microrealm. You know, even seasoned veterans from the battlefield. Few can reach this realm. As the difficulty increased, I understood. Relying solely on mental precognition had reached its limit. Immediately, I activated the wind breathing. In an instant, I turned into a gust of wind. The spectating students all thought I had disappeared, and Qin Shaojun explained. This kid is too fast. He has already reached a speed invisible to the naked eye. As the laser guns in the training room extinguished, my third stage test was finally completed. Qin Shaojun, seeing this, was about to leave, but was suddenly called back by Dong Qingxue, because I actually directly started the fourth stage test. Seeing this, Qin Shaojun stood dumbstruck. You know, even he had just started the fourth stage. At this moment, 4 laser beams suddenly appeared before my eyes. The next second, countless laser beams connected end to end, and actually formed an all-encompassing laser net. Seeing this, all the students broke out in a cold sweat for me. Can humans really dodge this? Currently, the speed bonus from wind breathing has reached its limit. To pass this stage, I can only release the divine illumination Nether King essence. The next second, I roared fiercely. The spiritual energy phantom behind me instantly appeared. Then I quickly extended my palm. A black barrier continuously spread out with me at the center, and time was infinitely stretched because of this. And I can move even faster within it. This level of mental power is a manifestation of qualitative change. Chief Commander Dong Qingxue had only just barely reached this realm, because only when mental power reaches a qualitative change can it achieve materialization. So Dong Qingxue prepared to test me again, but just as her hand of spiritual energy was about to touch me, I couldn't help but let out a scoff. Immediately, I raised my arm and waved it gently, instantly dispersing Dong Qingxue's spiritual energy giant. Then, her pupils contracted sharply, clutching her suddenly stopped heart. She was speechless for a long time. This kid is indeed a mentalist, and his mental power is not inferior to mine. In the training room, I reached my limit. Unexpectedly, Shiting would consume so much mental energy. And even with wind breathing and divine illumination Nether King essence activated, I could only reach half of the fourth stage. Thinking of this, I directly gave up. After all, even if I persisted, it would be futile. Although my movement technique only completed 56%, it surpassed 97% of trainers worldwide. As soon as the data came out, the spectating students were stunned, because in just this one aspect of movement technique, I was ahead of hundreds of millions of masters globally. Not to mention, I am also a well-known strength-type martialist. At this time, I just walked out of the training room. Dong Qingxue and the other person clapped and congratulated me, breaking 2 historical records in one day. It was truly unbelievable. Then she asked me which training room I was going to next. But my answer left Dong Qingxue a bit dumbfounded. It's almost mealtime. I definitely can't miss the delicious honey-glazed Kunliu rice. 2.5 hours later, Dong Qingxue called me to the command room. This time, it was mainly to test my strength. Immediately, Dong Qingxue took out a syringe. This is specially prepared for level 5 or higher. Jingjing Tsuxie, just use it to prick your finger. Collect blood pressure, and the martialist's chi value will be displayed directly. Soon, my rank appeared out of thin air. Blood chi value 124, already meeting the standard for a level 3 martialist. Qin Shaojun, seeing this, sighed, good heavens, I haven't seen such a young level 3 in 10 years. Martialist. After saying that, he took me to the combat power tester. Wanting to see how my combat power was, I quickly got into a stance, because I also wanted to know where my limit was. The next second, I directly activated the Fire Fist, continuously condensing 8 times stellar force. Then, I fiercely slammed a punch onto the robot. Subsequently, the feedback combat power actually reached a terrifying 270,000. Qin Shaojun's mouth was wide enough to fit a table head. A level 3 martialist delivering nearly level 5 combat power. This kid is simply a monster. Then he happily patted my shoulder a few times, saying I had graduated from here. I could do whatever I wanted next. But Dong Qingxue suddenly called out to me. She took out a magic crystal, wanting me to do a mental power test. Just by touching it with your hand, it can determine the tester's mental power strength. Hearing this, I reached out and picked up the magic crystal, but as soon as I placed my hand on it, Dong Qingxue was stunned, because only she could feel how pure my mental power was. The next second, the magic crystal let out a shriek. Violent mental power vented out, startling Xue. I thought my mental power was on par with hers, but I didn't expect its purity to be 5 times higher than hers. You know, every bit of mental power refinement is incredibly difficult. It is equivalent to continuously folding and compressing a towel, until it becomes the size of a coin, not to mention tempering it 5 times more at this level. Dong Qingxue believed that even if I was a genius, it was impossible for me to cultivate to such strength on my own. So she asked me who my master was. I casually made up a story, saying I had my own master, and he had taught me a unique cultivation technique, but only I knew. My master, whom I had never met, was the level 11 powerhouse Deng Yifeng from 10,000 years in the future. Dong Qingxue, hearing this, understood immediately, and took out a necklace to give to me. This is her personal item. As long as you wear it to the spiritual liking, it can provide assistance in cultivation. After I reached out and took the necklace, Qin Shaojun also gave me a gold card, saying there were 5 million inside, as an extra reward for me being first in the training camp. Giving me so many benefits must mean they want something from me. Dong Qingxue also spoke bluntly, hoping that when I faced the choice of military region, I could prioritize the Eastern military region. After all, a martial arts prodigy like me will definitely go to the battlefield to kill enemies in the future. Most importantly, she wants me to represent Dongming province, to participate in the Qiming artisan selection, because the genius training camp is to select those with artisan talent, and the Qiming artisan is the future grandmaster. Hearing this, I agreed without thinking. From the first time I learned about human destiny, I tried to save the common people with my own strength, always ready to offer my heart for humanity, and I will definitely make this era undergo earth-shattering changes. Not long ago, I just graduated from the training camp and returned home. I was originally in a good mood, but on the way, I was almost hit by a falling plaque. I got out of the car to take a look, and only then did I realize it was actually the sign of the Hongchuan Martial Arts Hall I used to frequent. Seeing this, I knew something was wrong. At this time, in the Martial Arts Hall, dozens of martialists surrounded Ni Shuang and her father. Ni Shuang was just the leader. The man cursed, as a level 4 martialist, "You are shameless, actually taking advantage of my father's old injury relapse to challenge the hall." But Lin Taishan's face became even more contorted upon hearing this. He wanted to raise the Hongchuan Martial Arts Hall to the ground. It turned out that the Hongchuan Martial Arts Hall had recently relied on my reputation. Not only did it make a fortune, it also stole business from other martial arts halls. Therefore, the unbearable Lin Taishan came here specifically to demolish the Hongchuan Martial Arts Hall. Ni Shuang, seeing this, got into a stance, ready to fight. But unexpectedly, Lin Taishan's face was full of disdain, saying he wanted to give Ni Shuang a physical examination. Then, dark energy radiated from his body. The next second, Lin Taishan stomped his foot and charged towards Ni Shuang, fiercely raising his arm, about to deliver a devastating blow. But at the critical moment, the Hall Master suddenly appeared and blocked this terrifying blow. But unexpectedly, Lin Taishan's strength was so formidable, he sent him flying tens of meters away. And Lin Taishan, seeing this, scoffed, "A loser who can't even take one palm strike, still dares to open a martial arts hall." The Hall Master, who had just gotten up, also understood. Lin Taishan had actually broken through to a level 5 martialist. He was no match. He could only agree to Lin Taishan's demand to go to the Martialist Association and permanently close the martial arts hall he had spent his life building. Lin Taishan grinned widely upon hearing this. Then he prepared to turn and leave. At this moment, my figure blocked his path. Such a good martial arts hall. If it closes, where will I go to train in the future? Enai Shuang, seeing this, couldn't hold back her tears anymore. Placing all her hopes on me, Lin Taishan, seeing his cash cow had arrived, immediately extended an olive branch to me, and even said he would personally teach me his signature skill. Then Lin Taishan directly tore open his clothes, showing me his unparalleled physique. A smile played on my lips, laughing, what kind of dog dares to teach me martial arts? The next second, my eyes sharpened. Just a slight pressure made Lin Taishan break out in a cold sweat. His body reacted instinctively, instantly assuming a defensive stance. But I gave him a thumbs up. It seems you are the real loser. Then, I threw a fierce punch, hitting him in the chest. Lin Taishan's pride, his defense, shattered instantly. He flew tens of meters, crashing into a wall before stopping, and a permanent tattoo was left on his chest. Then my fist pointed downwards, weak as a chicken wing. Are you trying to teach me how to kneel? Everyone who saw this was dumbfounded. Didn't they say that kid was a level 2 martialist? Why did he instantly kill a level 5? At this time, I came before Enai Shuang and her father, and reached out to pull up the blushing Enai Shuang, asking them how their injuries were. But the hall master suddenly grabbed my hand, looking at me with the expression of someone looking at a son-in-law, saying he would agree to any condition I proposed. I thought the hall master was grateful to me. No need to be polite, you too. After all, this matter started because of me, but I can only help you once. If you encounter such a thing again, you'll have to solve it with your own strength. We live in a world where might is right. After saying that, I bid farewell and turned to leave. Soon I returned home. As soon as I entered, Mom fussed over me with concern. Dad also happily took a sip of wine. Even my school-belle younger sister, who once looked down on me, now clings to me, constantly asking for advice on martial arts problems. Looking at this ordinary yet warm scene before me, my desire to become stronger grew even more resolute. Returning to my room, I once again entered the dream world. After casually dealing with a level 6 zombie, I couldn't help but marvel at how quickly my strength was growing. But this still isn't strong enough. Immediately, I looked up at the base center high above. The zombie with the terrifying oppressive aura I had seen before was in this place. I wonder if I am its opponent now. After much deliberation, I still wanted to sneak in and investigate. Situation. At this moment, the zombie's body suddenly moved with a loud bang. The zombie landed heavily in front of me. Just the aura it exuded made my heart pound wildly. But strangely, it didn't attack me, just stood there blankly. At this moment, I was already drenched in cold sweat from shock. Blood chi churning like a tide, thick as mercury. This zombie had clearly reached the Grandmaster stage. Although I was trembling uncontrollably, I didn't want to lose the courage to fight it. Then, I pushed off with my feet and charged directly at the zombie, simultaneously activating wind breathing. In the blink of an eye, I appeared before it, kicking towards the zombie's head with all my might. But the next second, my pupils constricted. It actually used only 2 fingers to block my attack. You know, that attack just now. Even an aircraft carrier would have been kicked in half by me. But the result was I couldn't even shake its 2 fingers. Is this the Grandmaster realm that transcends human limits? But this is exactly what I wanted, because killing it, I can advance. Immediately, I directly activated rocket breathing. Fiercely erupting with 10 times stellar force, I bombarded it. Soon, I realized something was wrong. This feeling wasn't like hitting flesh. Unexpectedly, a barrier actually appeared in front of the zombie. I instantly understood. This was the invisible force field inherent to a martial Dao Grandmaster. Even a sniper rifle couldn't penetrate it. I retreated again, but the zombie did not pursue. But this puzzled me. Could this zombie still possess intelligence? However, I also breathed a sigh of relief because of this. My attack just now hit that barrier. Almost all the force was absorbed. Luckily, it didn't attack proactively. Otherwise, I would have been hammered to death long ago, although I currently have no means to break the barrier. But I haven't given up, because as long as I kill it, I can absorb the Grandmaster's memories. The next second, my fists continuously gathered stellar force, then rained down on the barrier like hailstones. After attacking for 2.5 minutes, I realized the Grandmaster force field wasn't invincible, because its force field had indeed weakened. If I wear it down bit by bit, there might be a chance, but my stamina was also nearly depleted. Am I going to retreat first, and come back to deal with this tough nut when I'm stronger? Suddenly, my pupils constricted. I haven't even tried attacking with mental power yet, and I am a level 3 mentalist. My strength in martial arts is even greater. Immediately, I directly condensed a mental power ice crystal, although I haven't reached the strength to condense it into a sword, but this level is enough. Next second, I grabbed the ice crystal and quickly rushed towards the zombie. As soon as the two forces collided, a strong shockwave instantly erupted. The force field became increasingly unstable. I immediately understood the attack was effective, but it wasn't enough to break this spiritual barrier. Then I increased the energy condensed by my mental power. In the blink of an eye, a giant ice crystal appeared. Then I kicked it hard towards the zombie, but the zombie still stood there, motionless. But this time, it had an effect. Seeing this situation, I clenched my teeth, and directly drained all my mental power, instantly condensing a giant ice crystal mountain. Then I gently lifted my whole body. Lifting the ice crystal mountain, I smashed it fiercely towards the zombie. But this heaven and earth shattering blow still couldn't break the barrier. At this moment, I was panting heavily and at my limit. I have to say, the Grandmaster realm is truly formidable, but I still have one last trump card. That is my incomparably firm will. The next second, I erupted with all my strength and smashed it onto the ice crystal. The terrifying blow actually distorted space. At this moment, the barrier finally couldn't withstand the immense force, and instantly shattered into countless pieces. But the zombie still made no move. I seized the opportunity and flashed directly to it. Before him, heroic spirits never die. I will inherit your will. Then I threw a punch and finished him. But the zombie actually, at the brink of death, showed a gratified smile. But before I could be surprised, a large amount of memories continuously flooded into my mind. It turned out that to protect his home and country, he unhesitatingly stood at the forefront of the team. Even when facing a terrifying level 9 beast, he never retreated half a step, although he ultimately died in the beast attack. But I also learned from his memories. My dream is closely related to the Kindling Project. The goal is to create a level 12 powerhouse, to save the future of humanity. And the memories of this Grandmaster level powerhouse were actually far more vast than any previous ones. All his boxing techniques from his lifetime, mysteries and combat experience, continuously merged into my body, and my boxing skill soared wildly like a rocket. After 2.5 minutes, I actually crossed 3 realms, directly advancing from the micro-realm to the control stage. I stared at the light in my hand in disbelief. It turns out the control realm is actually mastering a martial art. But in his memories, besides the 72, the person who appeared most frequently was named Wang He. Coincidentally, this level 11 powerhouse was the creator of the stellar body tempering art. Even this martial Dao Grandmaster was his fanboy, and just by seeing Wang He make a move once, he was inspired to create an extremely powerful martial art, because this Wang He, known as the Eastern Extreme Setting Sun, could even fuse the sun into his body. It turned out this was the spiritual world of a martial Dao Grandmaster. As long as one comes here, he will impart his lifelong learning. 10 suns in one sky, mastering it to a great extent, can even summon the 10 golden crows. But now, his peerless martial art was obtained by me, a good-for-nothing. At this time, I found my mental power was undergoing a huge change. Immediately, I stretched out my hand and tried to condense it. Sure enough, my mental power had actually undergone a qualitative change. Although my mental power hadn't changed much in total amount, but in terms of quality, it was vastly different from before. If Xia Ling's mental power is compared to air, then Dong Qingsu's is water. My mental power is like a steel ball made of pure steel. I joyfully savored this harvest. But unexpectedly, the mental power emanating from my hand actually affected a tall building in the distance. In the blink of an eye, the tall building was uprooted by my formidable power. Seeing this, I was a bit dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, just the mental power I accidentally leaked could actually lift a large fire weighing tens of thousands of tons. This power was dozens of times stronger than before. In a sense, I have already reached the level of a transcendent life form. Not only that, a Grandmaster force field also appeared on my body surface. Although it was less than 1% of that Grandmaster zombies. But if I increase my mental power, it will become stronger, many times over. And what's worth celebrating is, having a force field is equivalent to having the nascent form of a Grandmaster's will, although it is currently just a fragile name. But I believe, sooner or later, it will grow into a towering tree. Early the next morning, I went to a 5-star hotel to discuss cooperation with He Ling from Xingshan Tang, because after leaving the training camp, there is no supply of lean beast meat. So I desperately need it to assist my cultivation. At this moment, He Ling ran in, panting. Originally nervous, he saw a poor student arrive. His heart was suddenly filled with confidence. This is easy now. Students' money is the easiest to earn. But He Ling hadn't even sat down yet, when I picked up the menu nearby, and directly ordered 40 servings of top grade. He Ling, hearing this, cursed me inwardly for being a pig. 40 servings of top-grade Wagyu beef would cost over 70,000 yuan. He wouldn't be shameless enough to make me pay, would he? But just as He Ling was about to speak and seize the initiative, I directly threw his information in front of him. Then, I continuously listed the reasons for the decline of He Ling's family to this day. But his expression changed upon hearing this, because my words hit him right where it hurt. Immediately, He Ling interrupted me, reciting information readily available online. What exactly are you trying to say? Coincidentally, the waiter serving food eased the tense atmosphere, while eating the delicious Wagyu beef. I answered He Ling's question. The reason Xingshan Tang collapsed so quickly under your management, besides mismanagement and outdated concepts, the most important reason is actually that your mother, along with the Cheng family, has for many years been secretly suppressing your actions. Before the words fell, He Ling angrily slammed the table and cursed me for talking nonsense. After all, no one could believe their mother would harm them. But soon, He Ling calmed down, because his mother left him when he was 2, and had never come back to see him in over 20 years. He Ling had to admit I was right. Xingshan Tang's decline started after his mother left. During that time, Xingshan Tang had shops closing almost every day. Even a loser managing it wouldn't lead to this. Thinking of this, He Ling suddenly understood everything. Then he smiled and wanted to discuss cooperation with me. After all, only I could resolve Xingshan Tang's crisis. Seeing this, I calmly stated my conditions. I will mainly be responsible for providing pill formulas and technical guidance. Your Xingshan Tang will be responsible for production and sales. As for the final profit, I must have 90%. Hearing this, He Ling angrily beat his chest, demanding 90%. You might as well rob me. But seeing this, I showed a disdainful smile. The next second, I directly demonstrated my powerful strength to him. At this time, the water in front of He Ling actually floated up slowly. Soon, it gathered together to form a water ball. Upon seeing this, he immediately understood. I was not only a level 2 martialist with alchemy talent, but also a legendary mentalist, and as a businessman, he also clearly understood the value of a mentalist. And this high school student was so strong at such a young age. There must be a powerful force supporting him. He Ling gritted his teeth and decisively agreed. After all, this was a good opportunity to latch onto a powerful backer. But I directly exposed his attempt to sneak a taste, because I knew and He Ling could only wait outside helplessly. Soon, I finished preparing and walked out, and told He Ling I was sweating. After he saw me walk out the door, he eagerly rushed into the alchemy room. Indeed, the potion he concocted was very powerful. After taking it, one could even directly retreat, and using only 200,000 worth of materials, he could actually produce several million worth of 5G. Such profit was simply unprecedented. And facing my formidable mental power, all the cameras malfunctioned. This made He Ling feel a sense of powerlessness spread throughout his body. All thoughts of secretly learning were gone, but he also realized that only by honestly following could the He family rise again. At this time, I was taking a bus to Nyoto Mountain, but what I didn't expect was, the small bus was actually full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Not only were there 2 young level 2 martialists, there was even an extremely rare level 2 mentalist. However, that mentalist probably didn't discover my identity. At best, he could only sense I was a martialist. After all, after I formed my Grandmaster will, I could already control at will the intensity of my mental power. Not just any cat or dog could discover it. Although I don't know what your purpose is, but if you interfere with my plans, then I'll just have to crush you casually. Soon we arrived at our destination, New Tufan. The pink-haired girl ran over with a flushed face to add me as a friend. After they exchanged numbers, she couldn't help but show a starstruck expression. Then she giggled and said to her best friend, "If there's a chance, I must treat that handsome guy to a meal." Meanwhile, a luxury car was speeding towards Nyoto Mountain. The purple-haired man extended his empty wine glass, signaling the bubble girl. The next second, the girl showed a pained expression. Then, a large amount of purple liquid flew out from her, effective, gathering drop by drop into the wine glass. This kind of technique, only a level 3 mentalist can achieve. Suddenly, the purple-haired man took out a photo. It was actually that level 2 mentalist, Dao Maozi. It turned out the purple-haired man's goal was to capture him, and turn him into a spiritual warfare weapon. At this time, Tang Maro's family of 3 had just entered the guest house. The next second, he directly activated his mental power. In an instant, Jing Min covered the entire building. His wife said he was being a bit too careful, but they didn't know that caution was useless, because my mental power had spread out, and its coverage area was the entire resort village. Although there was only one person monitoring Tang Maro, there was nothing else unusual. But since he didn't interfere with me, I didn't bother with this person either. Immediately, I took out a pill and swallowed it. With the help of pills, the speed of tempering muscles and bones is indeed much faster. Probably in less than 2.5 months, I can break through to Grandmaster, the first stage of the immortal spirit. However, completing the cultivation of a 7th rank Grandmaster as a 3rd rank martialist, I should be the first in history. Immediately, I quickly lay down to sleep, wanting to test the results of these few days of cultivation. At this time, the dream was full of exploding scenes, and after I comprehended the 10 suns in one sky of the Middle Ages, I also formed the nascent form of a Grandmaster's will. Now, all zombies can't even break my force field. Even a level 6 zombie would be instantly killed by my punch. My current self can be called unstoppable. Suddenly, a strange sound made me stop, and I also sensed a powerful aura ahead. As an armored figure walked forward, what came into view was actually a woman. This shocked me greatly. After all, this is my first time seeing a living person in a dream, and she was a Grandmaster realm powerhouse. But I quickly figured it out. Because her left face was rotten, she probably wasn't alive. But my vision suddenly blurred, and the female zombie actually disappeared. Seeing this, I quickly released my mental power to sense, but I couldn't even find her shadow. The next second, the female zombie instantly appeared above my head. At the same time, the spear tip gathered a suffocating coldness. Just one strike cut me in half. You know, my previous explorations in the dream had always been smooth sailing. Even Grandmaster realm zombies were successfully killed by me, but I was still too arrogant. The female zombie's lesson this time made me understand. The dream is not a paradise. From her combat instincts, it can be seen. She far surpasses the previous Grandmaster zombie, and that brilliant attack released by the female zombie. Even time was frozen. Perhaps she has already reached level 8 Great Grandmaster. If I can obtain her Grandmaster will, then my strength will skyrocket, and my ability is unique. Others only have one Grandmaster will, but I can have countless. Thinking about it now, I was just caught off guard by the female zombie earlier. If I were at my full strength, and with the control of the competition law and Grandmaster G, perhaps I could contend with her for a while. Thinking of this, I prepared to enter the dream again to seek revenge on the female zombie, but suddenly, my whole body felt like it was being pricked by needles. I actually couldn't enter the dream space at all, and I could feel I was very weak. Could it be because I died in the dream, causing the entry time to cool down? It seems I can only rest tonight. After all, if I go find the female zombie in this state, it would also be suicide. At this moment, my phone rang. It was that pink-haired girl, Zheng Dandan, from before. It seems she wants to have a deep conversation with me. I really regret adding him as a friend, but I am also a bit hungry now. It would be good to go out and eat something. Soon I arrived at the restaurant, and found that level 2 mentalist was also there. Seeing this, I politely greeted him. Then I found a single table and sat down. But Zheng Dandan quickly sat down opposite me. Her best friend looked helpless behind her, and I was also somewhat speechless. I could only awkwardly ask if they had eaten yet. But before Zheng Dandan could speak, Lin Zishan suddenly interjected, saying they had finished eating. Towards her best friend's behavior, Zheng Dandan was very angry. She could only explain that she wasn't full just now. Now it's just right to eat with you. At this time, the little girl also asked her father if she could eat with me. But her mother didn't want the little girl to go. After all, they weren't out of danger yet. Just then, Tang Maro suddenly agreed. Then he confidently explained to his wife. He had already scanned the surroundings with his mental power. Everyone here was a tourist. There was no danger. And that young man has a weak personality. His eyes are very pure. He won't be a bad person. Looking at his unsteady steps and weak aura, even if he is a martial arts candidate, his strength is probably average, and those two girls look like college students. Although a level 2 martialist at this age is very talented, but under my mental power, it is like giving away food. Just one thought and they'd die. Hearing this, the little girl's mother finally relaxed. Soon, the table was filled with delicious food. The little girl, seeing this, wanted to compete with me to see who could finish first, but she had just taken a bite of a bun. When I had already finished a whole tray, Lin Zishan, seeing this, denied. My family conditions must be average, because after a martialist enters the ranks, energy consumption is particularly high. They can only use unneeded lean meat to supplement. Otherwise, eating so much would take half a day just to poop. But Lin Zishan had just finished speaking, when she discovered Zheng Dandan was actually staring at me with a starstruck expression, and even said my eating posture was bold and very handsome. Seeing this, Lin Zishan was extremely angry, believing my martial arts aptitude and family background were very poor, and I was completely unworthy of her best friend. But Zheng Dandan only had eyes for me at this moment. She clearly didn't hear any of those words, but this action made Lin Zishan even angrier, anxiously telling her not to get involved, because after I graduate, I will earn at most 3,000 yuan a month. I have no house or car. As time goes by, conflicts will eventually erupt. Zheng Dandan stated that even if my family background wasn't good, she would still be my strong support, and believed my future route would definitely not stop here. At this time, my ears were about to get calluses. As a 7th rank Grandmaster powerhouse, I was actually being gossiped about by a level 2 rookie, but I couldn't be bothered with these two slaps. Early the next morning, I rushed into Nyoto Mountain. After resting for a whole night, the weakness caused by dying in the dream had lessened considerably. A moment later, I arrived at my destination. As I slowly squatted down, my mental power instantly spread out. Soon, I found a secret deep underground. Immediately, I gently lifted my arm. The next year, a boulder weighing tens of thousands of tons was uprooted by me. Then my fingers drew 2 circles in the air. In an instant, all the mithril was extracted by me. I gathered them together, and simultaneously injected a large amount of mental power. We are indeed mithril, truly worthy of being the weapon of a mentalist. The material can actually change form with mental power, if it is as confidential as the information says. These 2.5 catties of mithril in my hand are worth over 200 million. However, this is just crude mithril. To forge a mentalist's weapon, dozens of smelting processes are still needed. But such a large lump of mithril, it would be somewhat difficult to move out without attracting attention. It seems I can only bury him back first, and then go to the small village 2.5 kilometers away, to find someone to help. Generally speaking, villagers isolated from the world are very simple and honest. Giving a bit more reward shouldn't be a big problem, and even if they have ulterior motives, I'm not afraid. I just need to crush them casually. Thinking of this, I slapped my own head. Why do I always have such violent thoughts now? Could it be that I'm not fully recovered? Soon I found that village. But I always felt something was wrong with me. 2.5 hours ago, I followed the map to a hidden village. But just as I was about to ask for help, suddenly a dart flew towards me. Then a wary-looking man appeared, asking who I was and what my purpose was here. Seeing this, my gaze sharpened. Just as I was about to make a move, unexpectedly, a little girl emerged from the bushes. It was this old acquaintance of mine. She ran over and threw herself into my arms. At this time, Tang Maro, seeing it was me, breathed a sigh of relief. After all, they came to this village to escape the pursuit of Wu Shijing. After Tang Maro's introduction, the tense atmosphere among everyone eased a lot, and I learned from Tang Maro. This old man is his father-in-law, and also the village chief here. But my original intention to ask them for help became hesitant, because this is not an ordinary village at all. Mentalists are 1 in 2 million, yet in my small village, there are actually 3. And that old man is at the peak of level 2, and as a mentalist, he definitely knows the value of my excavated destiny. I really don't know how to ask. At this moment, I suddenly sensed the auras of Zheng Dandan and the other 2, but I soon realized something was wrong. Immediately, I spread out my mental power, and found a large number of spiritual energy spiderwebs behind me. At the same time I detected Zheng Dandan and Lin Zishan's distress signal. They were currently being carried over by a burly man, and the effeminate purple-haired man leading them was precisely the level 3 mentalist Wu Shijing. Seeing this, the village chief instantly broke out in a cold sweat. Just the oppressive aura made them feel suffocated, because he discovered Wu Shijing was not just a level 3 mentalist, but at the peak of level 3. Immediately, the village chief told Tang Maro to take everyone and leave, because he understood very well that their side had no chance of survival. The next second, countless golden lights shot towards Wu Shijing, but he sighed disdainfully. Just a light wave of his hand, all the darts were stopped by him. Tang Maro, seeing this, was instantly terrified. Unexpectedly, a peak level 2 mentalist was like an ant before him. At this time, Wu Shijing told Tang Maro to hand over his daughter, saying if he was pleased, he might spare them. Hearing this, Tang Maro instantly flew into a rage. Mental power instantly erupted from his body. Then he fiercely waved his arm. In an instant, countless iron balls flew out like bullets. But despite the impenetrable attack, Wu Shijing showed no intention of dodging. He just waved his finger again. Next second, all the iron balls were cut by his spider silk. Tang Maro looked at the scene before him in disbelief, not expecting his attack to be completely useless. A mere level 2 mentalist dares to challenge me. After saying that, Wu Zijing's palm pushed forward. Mental power fiercely erupted. In an instant, everyone was ensnared by spider silk. Tang Maro, seeing this, cursed him for not being a man. What's the big deal about bullying women? But this sentence seemed to provoke Wu Shijing. He instantly burst into maniacal laughter. He just gently twisted his fingers. The spider silk binding Tang Maro and the village chief instantly tightened. Then, he said he originally wanted to kill Zheng Dandan and Lin Zishan, and then frame Tang Maro. But this isolated village made him change his mind. He wants to slowly turn the little girl into Nua Hong, daughter's red wine, here. While savoring the delicacy, he will also give him a glass of wine for his father. Hearing this, Tang Maro was terrified. It was actually an evil technique that used people as brewing vessels. But thinking of the horrifying scene his daughter would face, Tang Maro wished he could eat Wu Shijing. And Wu Shijing, seeing this, showed a perverted smile. He really enjoyed the feeling of controlling others' destinies. Then he ordered his men to grab the little girl. At this moment, Wu Zijing's spiritual power attack was suddenly cut off. Then he turned his head towards me in disbelief. I saw my whole body exuding a terrifying aura, and in my hand was precisely his broken spider silk. The little girl, seeing this, understood it was my doing, and begged me to save her parents. But Wu Zijing's subordinates were completely unaware, shouting for me to hand over the little girl. I smiled faintly, raised my hand and threw 2 punches, directly sending the 2 flying tens of meters away. Seeing this, Wu Shijing was dumbfounded. He thought I was a level 5 martialist, but he quickly denied it, because my chi was not apparent just now, and my inner strength was completely absent. And I also looked weak and unstable. I couldn't possibly be a level 5 powerhouse, so he showed a cruel smile. Without steel sinew protection, you are just a student with a bit of strange strength. Under my spiritual power attack, your frail body will be cut open like tofu. But I raised my hand and calmly said, "You can try." Wu Shijing, hearing this, angrily condensed his mental power. He couldn't accept being teased by a level 2 loser. Soon, he condensed a spiritual energy pillar, and quickly attacked me. But I raised my hand and stripped away his mental power. Seeing this scene, Lin Zishan's eyes widened instantly. This is actually a master-level martial art. What is mastery? Everything within the palm is controlled by one palm. Although not as formidable as Tathagata catching monkeys, it is no less than a mortal suddenly seeing a god. At this time, Wu Zijing's mind was on the verge of collapse. He kept muttering, "Impossible." Then I raised my hand and gently pulled, directly pulling him over. Wu Shijing, in midair, was even more incredulous. Why can he even control his own mental power? But the next second, Wu Zijing's body suddenly twisted and turned into a ball. Then he laughed maniacally. "Even if I die, I will drag you down with me." The village chief shouted, "Oh no, he is going to self-destruct his mental power. If this continues, everyone will die from mental derangement." But I stood there calmly. "Your mental power is truly pathetically weak." After saying that, a monstrous aura erupted from my body. A giant hand, covering the sky and moon, reached out to grab him. Under Wu Zijing's terrified expression, I crushed him into powder in an instant. Just 2.5 hours ago, Wu Shijing wanted to self-destruct and take me down with him, but unexpectedly, I crushed him into powder directly. But an item caught my attention. Suddenly, I raised my hand and collected them. This was actually a spiritual master weapon forged from Inverse Eagle. Although the quality is very average, but it can be used temporarily. Suddenly, the little girl gave me a big hug. "Big brother, you are so amazing. Thank you for saving us." But Tang Maro, as a level 2 mentalist, was extremely unsettled. Possessing master-level martial arts at 18 is already monstrous enough. Unexpectedly, his mental power also crushed the level 3 Wu Shijing. It seems our country is about to produce a dragon. At this time, Tang Maro hurriedly walked over, thanking me for saving his family. "Brother Tang, no need to thank me. It was just casually crushing a pervert. And I also have something I need your help with." Tang Maro, hearing this, firmly stated, no matter what it is, he will do his best. 2.5 hours later, I boarded a bus and left Nyoto Mountain. The matter of the dense silver was left to Tang Maro to handle. He is a level 2 official mentalist. He has special channels for handling dense silver, and this time, the dense silver and spiritual weapon obtained are worth at least hundreds of millions. This is truly an unexpected joy. At this moment, Zheng Dandan suddenly asked me where I planned to go next, but when she learned I was going to Liangcheng, her heart instantly bloomed with joy, saying she was also from Liangcheng. It was perfect to go back together. Hearing this, I asked, "Aren't you students from Dongning Martial Arts University? Why aren't you going back to Dongning Province?" My words made Zheng Dandan somewhat tongue-tied. She mumbled, not knowing how to answer. Luckily, Lin Zishan helped her out. Dandan's hometown is in Liangcheng. They were originally planning to go home for a trip. Seeing Zheng Dandan's expectant look, I couldn't help but agree. At this moment, I received a call from Dong Qingxue. She told me about the Qiming artisan selection, reminding me that she was preparing to personally pick me up. Soon we arrived at Liangcheng bus station. As soon as I got off the bus, I said I had something urgent to do, and couldn't go to Liangcheng together. But Zheng Dandan looked very reluctant to part upon hearing this. Just as I was about to find someone to send me off, suddenly, a small golden sports car stopped in front of me. Then a graceful figure came up and hugged Zheng Dandan, and the rich second generation in the car also greeted. Looking at his arrogant demeanor, he must be a spoiled brat. Sure enough, Zheng Dandan blushed when she saw him, but out of politeness, she still introduced her best friend to him. But upon learning Lin Zishan was a level 2 martialist, Xu Wenhui quickly and enthusiastically greeted her. But when it came to introducing me, Zheng Dandan hesitated a bit, because I had too many secrets, so she could only say, I was a good friend she met while traveling. The rich second generation, hearing this, immediately put on a prejudiced look, so it was a poor kid. Then he deliberately invited everyone into the car. However, Zheng Dandan discovered there were only 4 seats in the car. It couldn't fit 5 people at all, so she planned to stay and go with me. When Xu Wenhui walked over unhappily, he is just an ordinary person. He can never integrate into our circle. The rich second generation, seeing this, directly took out his wallet. Then took out a few hundred yuan and told me to leave quickly, and not to disturb their old friends' reunion. Hearing this, Zheng Dandan was instantly enraged and started cursing loudly, speaking up for me, but I calmly placed my hand on her shoulder. It's okay. The person picking me up has already arrived. In an instant, the bustling city center was ravaged by a fierce wind. Everyone stared at the sky in disbelief, only to see a helicopter hovering above everyone's heads. The person who came was precisely the chief instructor of the Genius Training Camp, Dong Qingxue. Then she told me to come up quickly. The urban area cannot land. Just as everyone was wondering who she was talking to, my figure suddenly disappeared. The next second, I jumped onto a 25-meter high suspension ladder. Seeing this, everyone's jaw. That was the Eastern Military Region's aircraft, specifically here to pick up the Central Street Dancer. Then I turned back and waved at them. Everyone, see you next time if there's a chance. Watching the receding helicopter, all the citizens stood dumbfounded on the spot, discussing my identity one after another. Even the arrogant rich second generation started stammering, Dandan, who on earth is this friend of yours? But Zheng Dandan just gave him a cold look, deciding to cut off all future contact with him. Then she angrily pulled Lin Zishan, preparing to take a taxi home, leaving the 2 rich second generations awkwardly looking at each other. Meanwhile, riding a helicopter for the first time, I couldn't help but exclaim. The view below looks just like a town made of building blocks. Dong Qingxue seemed to see through my thoughts, and immediately leaned closer to me, saying as long as I can advance to Grandmaster, and become a Major General, she will assign me a private jet. After saying that, Dong Qingxue sized me up, finding that my strength had increased significantly in just a few days. Even she couldn't see through me. At this moment, Qin Shaojun suddenly took out a file. This was precisely the Qiming artisan candidate information, and Dong Qingxu's expression also became serious. This batch of candidates is much stronger than previous ones. If it weren't for my presence in the war zone, we could only go through the motions. Over 80% are talented martialists alone. One of them is even an elemental control type martialist. There is even a mentalist who passed the level 2 assessment. There are even more than 20 level 3 geniuses. What is most unbelievable is, a level 4 monster actually appeared. Hearing this, I just faintly said oh. After all, with my current strength, only Grandmaster Realm powerhouses are qualified to fight me. Martialists below level 6 can be defeated with just one slap. Dong Qingxue, seeing my indifferent expression, showed a bitter smile. At least show some reaction. Hearing this, I quickly tried to be perfunctory. What an exaggerated lineup, I'm truly amazed. Xin Shaojun, seeing this, pointed at me and laughed. Don't you know this kid yet? Tell him about the rewards. As soon as the words fell, I perked up. There are actually rewards. Immediately, Dong Qingxue began to explain. This selection is no longer a 1v1 arena match, but through another method. That is, students versus strange beasts. Hearing this, I immediately fell into deep thought. Although the world humans live in seems very peaceful, but this world faces the most formidable enemy is the endless tide of strange beasts. Even though countless powerhouses throw themselves into battle every year, they still cannot stop the shrinking of human living space. Small unexpectedly, the military district would actually let students encounter strange beasts. It seems the situation on the front lines is not optimistic. However, although the selection has become difficult, the rewards are even more generous. Just by entering the top 10, you can get a share. Students who make it to the top 3 can even directly enter the marrow cleansing chamber, and the person who obtains the title of Qiming Artisan can even enter the priceless marrow cleansing pool for marrow cleansing. Marrow cleansing sounds very powerful. Seeing my bewildered look, Dong Qingxue explained again. Blood cleansing is extracted exotic beast cell fluid. It can strengthen the human body's intensity, and the energy contained in marrow cleansing is not only dozens of times stronger than blood cleansing, it can also strengthen human mental power, and one portion of level 4 blood cleansing is only a few hundred milliliters, and it is already worth 50 million, and the marrow cleansing fluid in the marrow pool is worth at least 10 billion, if not more. If you can defend the championship, you must absorb as much as you can. This is an unlimited supply. Hearing this, I was a bit dumbfounded. Such an expensive thing is actually unlimited, but my stellar body tempering arts non-spiritual just happens to need a large amount of energy supply. If I only use it for body tempering, who knows how long it will take to complete the first stage. If I can get 1 year old, it will definitely greatly shorten the cultivation time. This is an excellent opportunity. At this moment, we reached our destination. Looking at the incredibly spectacular place before me, I didn't feel happy at all, because in my dreams, the martial arts base of 10,000 years later was far more vast than the eastern military region, yet it was still mercilessly torn apart by exotic beasts. Perhaps that was the real shock. But for the future of humanity, I will offer my heart at any time. I once again entered the dream to challenge the Grandmaster female zombie. But ever since being killed by her once, now, just looking at her from afar, fear actually arose in my heart. I understand that to overcome the fear in my heart, I must defeat her. Immediately, I directly activated the formation, breathing, condensing all my mental power, erupting with Grandmaster Ji Shiri, converging 10 times the stellar force with the sky. At this moment, I used all my trump cards. The next second, I crashed into you like a scorching comet, zombie, but after 2 segments, I was still defeated. However, fighting her just now let me know, when fully prepared, I am not entirely powerless to fight back, and after this battle, my strength has clearly improved significantly. Dozens of martial arts have advanced to the perfect realm. Most importantly, I overcame the fear of death. Thus, my state of mind became even more resilient. Suddenly, a knock on the door came, interrupting my thoughts. It turned out to be Dong Qingxue and the other person. They told me the artisan selection was about to begin, but at this moment, Dong Qingxue suddenly stared intently at me. She sensed I had changed a lot overnight. If yesterday I was a servant wrapped in mud and sand, then today, I am like a polished piece of jade. It seems it was yesterday's battle with the female zombie that allowed my heart and strength to complete their transformation. But my secrets cannot be known by others. Immediately, I said I might have become more handsome again. At this moment, two figures walked over. I saw a military officer wave his hand with a half-smile. Isn't this the genius instructor Dong Qingxue? I remember the last time we met. It was still last time. Officer Lin, you are as annoying as ever. This tense atmosphere. I immediately sensed that the two were probably not on good terms. Sure enough. Shangguan Lin once again started on Qin Shaojun. You're a loser yourself. Never mind. The student you found is also a loser. You've completely disgraced Dongling Province. Wen Yang Qin Shaojun was not angry. Instead, he looked disgusted and said Shangguan Lin had bad breath. Then he pretended to flip through some documents. I thought your Dongyi province had produced a genius. Turns out, there's nothing at all. Shangguan Lin, seeing the fish take the bait, quickly proposed a bet based on the selection ranking. The stake was even a portion of level 5-1. As soon as the words fell, Dong Qingxue burst out laughing directly. If you don't have the means, don't come out and embarrass yourself. 3 people betting on one outcome is truly pathetic. This statement instantly enraged Shangguan Lin. He gestured, saying 3 portions it is, 3 portions. However, Dong Qingxue almost burst out laughing. Shangguan Lin continued to clamor, you're not scared, are you? Or is raising the stakes your way of avoiding it? But Dong Qingxue actually showed a hesitant expression, gritted her teeth and accepted the bet. Hearing this, Shangguan Lin smiled smugly. Then he delightedly patted the student's shoulder. Zhao Lian, you've got a great opportunity. That's 3 portions. That's 3 portions level 5. 1 portion is enough to advance your flame talent. Zhao Lian cooperated very well, as if he had already understood. Seeing this, Qin Shaojun's fire rose 30,000 feet. Unexpectedly, Zhao Lisha, elemental talent martialist. Meanwhile, Shangguan Lin laughed wildly. Leading Zhao Lai, he turned and left, completely ignoring the furious Zhao Jun. But Shangguan Lin had only been gone for 2.5 seconds. When Qin Shaojun put away his act, Shangguan Lin thought he was the only one hiding his strength. But he didn't expect Dong Qingxue to treat him like a fool. Then Dong Qingxue gave me a charming smile, saying the Shangguan family and the Dongqing family have always been at odds, and Dongling Province hasn't produced many talents, always being suppressed and unable to hold their heads high. This time, they can only place their hopes on me. Soon I arrived at the entrance of the artisan selection valve, but only students could enter. But just as I was about to enter, Dong Qingxue suddenly reached out and grabbed the door. She asked me with a serious expression, this time for the Qiming artisan, are you really confident? I stroked my chin and said, only a little. Dong Qingxue, hearing this, hung her head in dejection. Seeing this, a smile played on my lips, and I stopped teasing them. If my selection qualification is not cancelled, then my chance of winning the championship is 10 rounds. At this moment, an old man walked into the conference room. All the instructors quickly stood up and entered, and he was precisely the level 7 Grandmaster, Major General Yu Fei. At the same time, he was also the chief examiner for the new selection. Then Dong Qingxue reported the situation. Various geniuses have already arrived for the selection. The specialized exotic beasts for the selection have been inspected. Each contestant has their own track. Defeat all exotic beasts on the way. The first to reach the finish line wins. Among them, 3 level 2 exotic beasts, 1 level 3 exotic beast and 1 level 4 exotic beast are consistent. And the final hurdle is even a quasi-level 5 exotic beast, the golden bronze demonic ape. The instructors who heard this were all shocked. You know, the golden bronze demonic ape is top tier in combat power at the same level. Even a filial piety officer would need at least 2 to dare confront it. Now, letting a few 18-year-old students face it, isn't it a bit too dangerous? Dong Qingxue explained again. The Golden Child Demon Ape does not require a single person to defeat it. Rather, they must face it together. After all, the Qiming General Selection is for army leaders. They must have cohesion. Yu Fei also suddenly sank into thought. The Eastern Military Region is the second most important front line in Dragon Country, yet it has ranked last in the country for several consecutive years. If we gather all the top talents from the entire East, and still can't deal with a single golden bronze demonic ape, then our Dragon Country will have no future to speak of.